The invitation that changed everything. Message arrived on every human communication device. Simultaneously, no hacking, no forced entry into systems. It simply appeared. Written in perfect English, Mandarin, Spanish, and every other human language. Greetings, young species of Terra. We are the Vorthic Collective, guardians of galactic advancement. Your kind has reached the threshold of interstellar travel. To proceed beyond your solar system, you must prove your worth through the Quantum Labyrinth Challenge. Captain Jake Morrison of the Earth Defense Initiative stared at his screen in the command center of Luna Base. Around him, his team worked frantically to trace the signal's origin. Lieutenant Commander Zoe Parker, his chief science officer, shook her head in frustration. It's impossible, Captain. The signal came from everywhere and nowhere. It's like it materialized inside our equipment. The message continued. The quantum labyrinth is a test of intelligence, creativity, and problem-solving ability. Most species require 3,600 of your seconds to complete it. Those who fail remain confined to their birth system forever. Those who succeed join the greater galactic community. You have been granted one attempt. Choose your representative wisely. Morrison's jaw tightened. 1 hour to determine humanity's future in the galaxy. 1 person to represent the entire species. The weight of that decision crushed down on every leader across Earth, sir. Called out Sergeant Ryan Torres from the communications array. We're receiving calls from every major government. They want a joint council meeting within the hour. But Morrison already knew who humanity needed. Dr. Marcus Webb, a 34-year-old puzzle designer from Manchester, had an unusual gift. He could see patterns where others saw chaos. His mind worked differently, processing information in ways that baffled even the most advanced computers. Webb had designed escape rooms that stumped mid-graduates, created mathematical theorems that revolutionized quantum computing, and once solved a 3,000-piece jigsaw puzzle in under 2 hours while blindfolded. If anyone could represent humanity in this test, it was him. Get me Dr. Webb, Morrison ordered, and patch me through to the Global Defense Council. We don't have time for politics. Within 30 minutes, Webb was aboard a hypersonic transport to Luna Base. The Vorthic message had included coordinates, a point in space just beyond Mars where their test chamber waited. Earth's fastest ship, the Endeavour, could reach it in 6 hours. As Webb arrived at Luna Base, pale and slightly motion-sick from the rapid ascent, he looked nothing like humanity's savior. Thin, with messy brown hair and thick glasses, he resembled a graduate student more than Earth's champion. But Morrison had seen Webb's files, had watched recordings of his problem-solving sessions. Dr. Webb, Morrison said, gripping the younger man's shoulder, I won't lie to you. This might be the most important test any human has ever taken. Webb nodded, his gray eyes already distant, calculating. What do we know about these Vorthic? Their technology level, their thinking patterns, their cultural biases? Nothing, Parker admitted. The signal gave us no additional information. We're going in blind. Then we have to assume they think differently than us, Webb mused. Most species would send their best strategist, their most experienced leader, or their greatest warrior. They'll expect conventional thinking. Morrison smiled grimly. That's exactly why we're sending you. The Endeavour launched from Luna Base with minimal fanfare. Every human on Earth and Luna watched the feeds, knowing their future hung in the balance. As they approached the coordinates, a massive structure materialized before them, a crystalline maze that seemed to bend light and space around itself. The quantum labyrinth, Webb whispered, pressing his face to the viewport. It's beautiful. A new voice filled the ship's communication system. Alien but speaking perfect English. Human representative, you may board our testing facility. You have 3,600 seconds to complete the labyrinth. Failure means your species remains forever bound to your home system. Webb straightened his shoulders and looked at Morrison. If I don't make it back, tell everyone that humanity tried. You'll make it back, Morrison said firmly. And when you do, we'll have the stars waiting for us. Inside the impossible Mazith transport shuttle docked with the alien structure, and Webb stepped into an airlock that hummed with unknown energy. The walls seemed to pulse with their own light, and gravity shifted in ways that made his stomach lurch. When the inner door opened, he found himself facing three tall, ethereal beings. The Vorthok looked like living crystal formations, their bodies translucent and constantly shifting between colors. Their leader, whose crystalline form pulsed with deep blue light, spoke without moving what Webb assumed was a mouth. "I am Coordinator Zethryx. You are the human representative, Dr. Marcus Webb," he replied, trying to keep his voice steady. "I'm ready for your test." Zethryx's form flickered. With what might have been amusement, the quantum labyrinth exists in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Most species approach it as a physical puzzle, attempting to navigate through space. Others treat it as a mathematical problem, calculating optimal paths. Both approaches lead to failure. They led Webb to a chamber where the walls displayed the labyrinth in all its impossible complexity. It twisted through dimensions Webb could barely comprehend, with pathways that seemed to exist and not exist at the same time. "Your time begins now," Zethryx announced. "Remember, you have 3,600 seconds. Most species exhaust themselves within the first 1,000, chasing shadows and phantom solutions." Webb stared at the labyrinth, his mind racing. The structure defied every law of physics he understood. Paths folded back on themselves, doorways led to rooms that existed in different time zones, and some corridors seemed to stretch infinitely in all directions. "Wait," Webb said, stepping closer to the display. "You said most species fail because they approach this as either a physical or mathematical puzzle. What if it's neither?" He began walking around the chamber, studying the labyrinth from every angle. The Vorthok watched silently, their forms shifting colors in what Webb was beginning to recognize as their version of emotional expression. "You mentioned that the maze exists in multiple dimensions simultaneously," Webb continued, his voice growing more confident. "But what if the solution isn't about navigating through the dimensions? What if it's about understanding why the dimensions exist in the first place?" Zethryx's blue glow intensified. "Elaborate, human." Webb pointed to a section of the maze where pathways seemed to contradict each other. "Every species you've tested has tried to solve the maze by moving through it. But movement implies a beginning and an end, a start point and a destination. What if the labyrinth isn't meant to be solved by reaching an exit?" He paused, his mind working faster than his mouth could keep up. What if the test is recognizing that the maze itself is the answer, that the journey and the destination are the same thing? The room fell silent. Webb could hear his own heartbeat echoing in the chamber. The Vorthok forms shifted from blue to a brilliant white light. "In 847 seconds, Zethryx said slowly, you have reached a conclusion that has eluded 2,847 previous species. But understanding the concept is only the first step. You must still demonstrate your solution." Webb nodded, approaching the labyrinth display. Instead of trying to trace a path through the maze, he placed his palm flat against the central point where all dimensions seemed to converge. "I don't need to navigate the labyrinth," he said quietly. "I need to become part of it. The maze exists because consciousness observes it. The moment I stop trying to solve it and start experiencing it, the solution reveals itself." The labyrinth began to glow, its impossible geometry shifting and rearranging. Webb closed his eyes and let his mind expand, embracing the paradoxes. Instead of fighting them, he felt himself becoming part of the structure, his consciousness flowing through dimensions he couldn't name. And in that moment of perfect understanding, the maze dissolved completely. "Remarkable," Zethryx whispered. "In 600 seconds, you have accomplished what we designed to take an hour. You understood that the quantum labyrinth was never about finding a path. It was about realizing that consciousness creates its own reality." Webb opened his eyes, grinning despite his exhaustion. It was never a test of intelligence. It was a test of perspective. "Dr. Webb," Zethryx's voice came through the communication system one final time. "Prepare your species for greatness. The galaxy has been waiting for you longer than you know." Webb smiled, watching Earth grow larger in the viewport. Humanity was about to discover that their greatest weakness, their inability to accept that some problems have no solutions, was actually their greatest strength. The stars were waiting. And for the first time in human history, they didn't seem so impossibly far away. A new chapter for humanity 3 months after Dr. Webb's historic test. Earth had transformed beyond recognition. The Vorthik hadn't just escorted humanity into the galactic community. They had introduced them as the newest consultants for impossible problems. Webb stood in the newly constructed Galactic Communications Center in Geneva, watching data streams from 12 different civilizations scroll across holographic displays. Each stream represented a consultation request, a problem that had stumped some of the galaxy's most advanced minds. Dr. Webb called Dr. Rachel Kim, the center's newly appointed director. "We just received another request. The Helix Collective says they have a transportation network that should work perfectly according to all known physics, but keeps randomly sending cargo to the wrong destinations." Webb chuckled. "Let me guess, their system is too logical. They've eliminated all the chaos factors that actually make complex systems work." "That's exactly what their preliminary report suggests," Kim confirmed. "How did you know?" "Because it's the same pattern we're seeing everywhere. These civilizations are so advanced that they've optimized the unpredictability out of their systems. They've forgotten that some problems require a little controlled chaos to solve." Captain Morrison, now serving as Earth's first galactic liaison officer, entered the center with Lieutenant Commander Parker at his side. Both wore the new blue and silver uniforms that represented Earth's status as a galactic consulting species. "Webb, we just got back from the Andromedans," Morrison announced. "Your team's solution to their quantum computing problem worked perfectly. They want to know if we can help them redesign their entire technological infrastructure." "What? Did you tell them?" Webb asked. "That we'd be happy to help, but they'll need to accept that human solutions don't always make sense until after they work." Parker replied with a grin. They seemed excited by the concept of organized confusion. The success stories had been mounting for weeks. Human teams had resolved a century-old trade dispute by suggesting a solution that both sides initially called illogical but gradually came to love. Earth's musicians had helped the Melody Collective create harmonies that their mathematical composers couldn't calculate, but that resonated perfectly with their emotional frequencies. "The most interesting development," Kim reported, "is that other species are starting to adopt human problem-solving approaches. The Kalari have added creative chaos protocols to their weather management systems. The Vreks are experimenting with what they call productive disagreement in their political processes." Webb nodded, unsurprised. Humans have always known that the best solutions often come from putting together people who disagree and seeing what happens. "We're just teaching the galaxy that contradiction can be constructive." "Speaking of which," Morrison said, "the Galactic Council wants to establish a permanent human advisory board. They're offering us full membership and a seat on the leadership committee." "That's unprecedented," Parker observed. "Most species have to be in the community for centuries before they're offered leadership roles. Apparently, solving problems no one else can solve gets you fast-tracked," Webb replied. "The question is, are we ready for that kind of responsibility?" Morrison looked out the center's massive windows at the bustling activity below. Human scientists worked alongside alien researchers, their laughter and animated discussions creating a constant background hum of collaborative energy. "Look at this place," he said. 6 months ago, we didn't even know other intelligent life existed. Now we're helping species that are thousands of years older than us solve problems they've been working on for centuries. If that's not ready, I don't know what is." A new alert chimed on the communication system. Kim checked the incoming message and smiled broadly. "Dr. Webb, you're going to love this one. The quantum philosophers of the spiral arm have a problem they describe as beautifully impossible. They want to know if humans would be interested in attempting something they call the ultimate paradox." Webb's eyes lit up with the same excitement Morrison had seen in the testing chamber months before. "The ultimate paradox? That sounds like exactly the kind of problem humans were born to solve." "What makes you so confident?" Parker asked. Webb grinned, looking around at the bustling center where humans and aliens worked together on challenges that had once seemed insurmountable. "Because," he said, "we're the species that looked at the impossibility of existence itself and decided to throw a party anyway. We're humans." Paradoxes aren't problems for us. They're invitations to get creative. As alarms chimed with incoming consultation requests from across the galaxy, Webb felt the same thrill he'd experienced in the quantum labyrinth. Humanity had found its place in the universe not by being the strongest or the smartest, but by being the species that could make beautiful sense out of beautiful nonsense. The stars weren't just waiting anymore. They were calling, full of impossible problems that needed the one thing humans had always excelled at, turning chaos into wonder, one paradox at a time. And in the distance, more ships were arriving, carrying new civilizations who had heard about the young species from Earth that could solve the unsolvable. The galaxy had found its problem solvers, and humanity had found its destiny among the stars. The adventure was just beginning. The revelation of human nature. The three Vorthic beings surrounded Webb, their crystalline forms now pulsing with excited golden light. Coordinator Zethrix moved closer, and Webb could feel the alien's presence in his mind, not invasive, but curious, like a gentle knock on a door. "Dr. Webb," Zethrix said, "in our 50,000 years of administering this test, no species has ever approached the solution as you did. Most spend their entire time period attempting to physically navigate the maze. Others exhaust themselves with mathematical calculations. You simply understood. What makes this even more fascinating," added another Vorthic whose form shimmered with silver light, "is that you reach this understanding in 1/6 of the allotted time. This has never occurred before." Webb wiped sweat from his forehead, still processing what had happened. "I think humans might have an advantage you didn't expect. We're used to dealing with things that don't make logical sense. Our entire existence is full of paradoxes." "Explain," Zethrix requested, genuine curiosity resonating through the mental connection. "Well," Webb began, warming to the topic, "humans live with the knowledge that we're going to die. Yet we make long-term plans. We know the universe is vast, and we're insignificant. Yet we act like our individual lives matter enormously. We understand that free will might be an illusion, yet we make choices every day as if they're completely real." The third Vorthok, whose body glowed with deep purple light, leaned forward. "You embrace contradiction rather than resolve it." "Exactly," Webb said excitedly. "Most human art, philosophy, and even science is about finding beauty in the paradox, not eliminating it. When I looked at your labyrinth, I didn't see a problem to solve. I saw a beautiful impossibility to experience." Zethrix's form brightened. "This explains much about your species' rapid technological advancement. While other civilizations seek perfect logical systems, humans work within imperfect, contradictory frameworks and somehow make them function. Like our democracy," Webb chuckled. "Technically, it shouldn't work. Millions of people with different opinions trying to make collective decisions. It's chaos. But somehow, it produces better results than systems that look more logical on paper." The revelation seemed to ripple through all three Vorthics simultaneously. Their forms began shifting through a spectrum of colors Webb had never seen before. "Dr. Webb," Zethrix said solemnly, "we must share something with you. The quantum labyrinth test serves two purposes. Yes, it determines whether a species can join the galactic community, but more importantly, it reveals the unique strengths each species brings to that community. We have encountered species with superior logic, others with enhanced physical capabilities, some with telepathic abilities that dwarf our own," the silver Vorthic continued. "But never have we met a species that transforms confusion into creativity the way humans do." Webb felt a chill of anticipation. "What does that mean for humanity?" "It means," Zethrix replied, "that while most species we admit to the galactic community become productive members, humanity has the potential to become something much more rare, a species that helps other species solve problems they cannot solve alone." The purple Vorthic gestured toward a new display that materialized in the air. It showed star maps with hundreds of civilizations connected by trade routes and communication networks. "The galaxy faces challenges that pure logic cannot address," it explained. "Climate systems that behave unpredictably, social conflicts with no clear resolution, technological problems that require intuitive leaps rather than systematic approaches." These challenges have stymied our most advanced civilizations, and you think humans can help?" Webb asked. "We don't think," Zethrix said, colors rippling through its form like laughter. "We know. Your solution to the labyrinth proved it. Where other species see insurmountable obstacles, humans see interesting puzzles. Where others see chaos, humans see opportunity for creativity." Webb thought about his colleagues back on Earth. Morrison with his unconventional military strategies, Parker with her ability to make theoretical physics comprehensible to anyone, Torres with his talent for finding solutions in broken communication systems. "There's something else," he said slowly. "Humans don't just embrace paradox individually. We do it collectively. Our greatest achievements come from putting together teams of people who think completely differently and somehow making it work. Like your space program," the Silver Vorthik observed, "engineers, artists, philosophers, and dreamers working together on projects that seem impossible." Exactly. We're not the smartest species or the strongest or the most unified, but we might be the best at taking a bunch of incompatible pieces and building something beautiful out of them. Zethrix's form pulsed with what Webb was learning to recognize as deep satisfaction. "Dr. Webb, please return to your ship and inform your captain that humanity has not only passed the test, you have exceeded it in ways that will reshape how we approach galactic integration." As Webb prepared to leave the testing chamber, Zethrix added one final thought. "Oh, and Dr. Webb, your solution time of 600 seconds has become a new record. We suspect it may never be broken." The galaxy await's journey back to the Endeavor felt like floating through a dream. Webb's mind buzzed with the implications of what had just occurred. As he docked with the human ship, he could see Captain Morrison's face through the viewport, tense, hopeful, and desperately curious. "Well," Morrison asked the moment Webb stepped through the airlock. "Please tell me you have good news." "Captain," Webb said, unable to suppress his grin, "we're not just joining the galactic community. According to the Vorthok, we're about to revolutionize it." The bridge erupted in cheers, but Morrison held up his hand for silence. "Explain everything. Earth needs to know what we're walking into." Over the next hour, as the Endeavor began its journey home, Webb recounted every detail of the test and the Vorthok's revelations. Lieutenant Commander Parker listened with fascination, occasionally asking technical questions about the maze's dimensional properties. "So they're saying humans are uniquely good at solving impossible problems?" she asked. "More than that," Webb replied. "They're saying we're good at turning impossible problems into creative opportunities, apparently. That's rarer in the galaxy than we might think." Sergeant Torres leaned forward from his communication station. "Sir, I'm receiving a priority transmission from the Vorthik ship. They're requesting permission to escort us back to Earth." Morrison nodded. "Granted, if we're about to become galactic citizens, we might as well start with proper diplomatic protocol." The message from Coordinator Zethrix came through moments later. "Captain Morrison, we request the honor of formally presenting humanity to the Galactic Council. Dr. Webb's performance has generated significant interest among the member species." "What kind of interest?" Morrison asked. "The kind that could reshape interstellar cooperation." Zethrix replied. 3 different civilizations have already requested human consultation on problems they have been unable to resolve for centuries. Parker whistled softly. "We haven't even left the solar system yet, and we already have job offers?" "What kind of problems are they talking about?" Webb inquired. Zethrix's response made everyone on the bridge sit up straighter. "The Kalari Republic has been trying to stabilize their weather control systems for 400 years. The mathematics work perfectly, but the implementation fails consistently. The Vrex Confederation cannot resolve a cultural conflict that threatens their entire civilization. Both sides are completely logical, completely right, and completely incompatible. And the Andromedans have a quantum computing problem that requires solutions their most advanced AI cannot calculate. In other words," Morrison said grimly, "they have paradoxes that need human-style thinking." "Precisely, Captain. And based on Dr. Webb's demonstration, we believe humans excel at exactly these types of challenges." As Earth grew larger in their viewports, Webb found himself thinking about what this meant for his species. Humanity was about to become the galaxy's problem solvers. The species other civilizations called when logic and conventional wisdom failed. "Captain," he said quietly, "I think we need to prepare Earth for something unprecedented. We're not just gaining access to galactic civilization, we're being invited to help lead it." Morrison nodded thoughtfully. "The question is, are we ready for that responsibility? Are we ever ready for anything?" Webb chuckled. "We're humans. We figure it out as we go along, somehow make it work, and probably have fun doing it." Parker grinned. "That's the most human answer I've ever heard, and probably exactly why the Vorthik think we're special," Torres added from his station. As they approached Earth, Webb looked out at the blue marble that had been humanity's entire universe just days before. Now it was about to become their launching point into a galaxy full of civilizations that needed what humans had always taken for granted: the ability to find hope and creativity in the face of impossible odds.